It's going to be the first episode of the Vincere High Rulers podcast. I'm Jay. This is. Do you want me? You want to go by Silver? Or do you want to go by Seth on here? What do you want to do?
I want to go by both.
All right. This is Seth. It's also Silver. Go ahead and talk about yourself a little bit.
I want to talk about yourself. You're the one introducing.
All right. I was going to give you a chance. I'm Jay. This is not my first podcast. I've done one. God, it's been 4 or 5 years ago. Not a lot to really talk about. I've been wanting to do a podcast for quite a while. It's something we've been kind of working on for a little bit. And Seth started Vincere, and Bear, he's with Vincere, kind of wanted to do a podcast, and Seth dropped my name, and we kind of got the ball rolling on all of this. Go ahead and let you introduce yourself now.
Well, obviously, I'm Seth. Not much else to say. First podcast I've really done. I don't really know how these go, but why not? You know,
It's a learning experience.
But in terms of org and stuff like that, I have a handful of experience running and owning stuff such as that. So do enjoy that. One of the main goals, I guess, for this podcast is talking about like esports and the realm of that, and just content creation and everything. Which again, something I'm very in tune with. I love esports a lot. And so yeah, I just kind of want to sit down, have a podcast, talk about it and all, and yeah.
Yeah. This episode is kind of the boring episode. This is what we're kind of just explaining what we're doing, what the point of it is. We're going to be talking about some Vincere stuff. We're going to be, name dropping some content creators, dropping some of the events and stuff like that. There's a Discord giveaway right now actually going on in the Vincere Discord. I believe that's open to everyone. So I don't know when it ends exactly, but we'll have the Discord linked below and you guys can join. And I think it's like it's like a $15 prize with something, just for the first few people who join the Discord. So I'll be honest, I don't know a whole bunch about Vincere. I haven't really been in the talks for everything. I kind of just got brought in a week ago, got announced a couple days ago. So I'll go ahead and let you talk about, Seth, kind of how Vincere started and what kind of the, kind of how, where you want to see the org going and stuff like that.
I mean, Vincere started relatively the same as any other org. It's just a group of people wanting to, help others genuinely out in the world of content creation or esports. In this case, I mean, Vincere right now is going to be primarily focusing on the content creation aspect, as long as our content creators actually want to make content and things and actually be part of a community, something that's more of a whole versus just send out individual content where nothing's wrong with that. But that's kind of how it started. I got brought on as one of the more back-end managers / owners, because I'm already established with us somewhere else. Apparently people talk about my name and everything, so I got brought on, and I enjoy the main owner, who's Bear, quite a bit. And so upon joining them, it's me, Bear, Grovey, and Esther. I think all of us can give a really good solid attempt at helping people out, genuinely make good content and actually make it somewhere with it all, because everyone knows that content creation feels so easy, everyone could do it, and so it's more of like a support system for everyone, and as well, again, you get to offer a family to people, because there's always like G2, which has a huge personality and that everybody wants to be a part of, and that's pretty much the same kind of feeling that we want to foster here with us, which is why we do things like family game nights, Friday game nights with everybody, which me and Jay and Bear have all been part of every game night so far, and they've been really fun. Everybody is having fun. So if you haven't been part of that, it was definitely join, because we play all sorts of games. Last Friday we actually played Overwatch, and that was a lot of fun. Getting to have everyone together and play some of that. But overall, I just feel like some orgs have different goals they want to accomplish, but I feel like us at Vincere, we really just want to foster a family home for those smaller individual content creators that want to make it big while also wanting more of a support system to kind of help them, become something. We don't ask anything of our content creators besides making basic content and content that they're happy with. We're not forcing anyone to make anything, because forced content isn't fun content by any means. We just want people to help us help you kind of thing. And we're no profit or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely just kind of piggyback off of the you help us, we help you kind of thing. I've been a part of a few orgs, 2 or 3 different orgs in my time as a content creator. I don't really create that much content anymore, but I guess this podcast is going to be kind of my return to content creation. And, I mean, it's no diss to any other orgs that I've been a part of, but a lot of it was like, you work for me, and it's like, didn't exactly feel the most welcoming, if that makes sense. And like I said, it's not like a diss, great people with these orgs and stuff like that. But that's something that definitely really resonated with me when I talked to Bear. When I'd known Bear for a little while, like probably about a month before we actually started talking about actual legit org stuff. But that's something that resonated with me was the not like relax, like you don't have to do anything, but like you get back what you give with the org, and it's not like doesn't feel super strict or anything like that, and the stuff and what I like about it. We
by any means we don't take anything from anyone, again, me personally, I'll gladly lay down any money, to help people out, generally give stuff. Like right now, I know Bear and I are working getting merchandise and merch that people like. We're working on like doing better panels, better graphics, little things that can help people out. And again, all we really ask in return is just rep us. And then we'll help you in any way possible that we can, like getting video editors, GFX artists, obviously more networking done, because that's a huge thing with content creation is networking with people. And so that's kind of what we're here for, is to help you network. But again, it's like as much as you put forward is what you get out. We're not going to sit here and force you to make content, because if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it, Yep. But we'll give you as much as we can the keys of success. It's just up to everyone else to use those kind of keys and those tools. And obviously as well, again, me as a person, I just enjoy watching people make content and generally quote unquote shit posting a lot with people, which is I think it's a good tie into how I guess I want to say I technically started the group, but the group called the High Rulers. It's kind of how we started. Because we were all just a bunch of shit posters, and then we used to enjoy games. And it was me, Jay, Blood Rose, which is Jeremy, if he'll ever show up here, a guy named Floston or Austin. Those were
it's been so long since he's been Floston, man.
Yeah, those were the core 4 members that we had. And we were all playing Rainbow Six Siege. That was like our big tie-in game. And I met everyone individually, roughly. And we were doing like a Go 4. And I literally came up with the name randomly of High Rulers, and that stuck since I want to say 2018, 2019.
Yeah, it was late 2018. It was just,
and then it just stuck with us, And so it's crazy.
Yeah, that's just something that stuck. I mean, it was a little server with just us 4, and then a few other people that we. Kind of outliers like Farmer Doink and some of Jeremy's friends and stuff like that were in the Discord and stuff. But it was like the picture was that meme. You remember that meme that we had? It was it was Mario holding the crown, going, "You dropped." Oh
yes, you dropped his king. Yes,
and that was basically just some weird fluky meme, just kind of as how Hyrule started. And I mean, it kind of evolved. We took a lot of inspiration from the mob. Is at least when me and Austin were talking about it, was we wanted to, we were a good, solid group of friends. We'd been playing together for a while, and we all had the shared passion, with the exception of Jeremy. He was never really into content creation, but we all had the shared passion of esports and content creation. And we kind of sat down one day and we're like, hey, why don't we just we're all competitive. We really like playing esports. Why don't we just start making content, stuff like that? And we took big inspirations from the mob, and it was kind of short-lived. COVID happened, and I know a lot of friend groups kind of went through that, where it's like you guys were all playing with each other live. Talked with tons of other people, outliers in our friend group and stuff like that have said they had the same issues during COVID. Was like you're spending so much time to each other, you know, it's not that you hated each other. You guys just started getting a little stupid bickering fights and stuff like that. And that's kind of where the content creation side of High Rulers kind of fell apart, but we were pretty dedicated to it.
Well, it's that, but it's also other games started coming out because we slowly fell out of love for Siege because the game was going in a bad direction, and I was mainly the only one who really wanted to compete with it. Everyone had more personal issues, but I was really competing with it, which is how Elite or Jason came into the fray, because I found a team that I really enjoyed, and we actually got decently far in the T3 scene. But you know, obviously with it being Siege and the standard T3 thing, they fell apart. But Elite hung on with us, and he's now one of our kings. We only have a total of 6 kings in total, and he was the technical 5th. And alongside him came I Am Cynical or Adam. We much
Adam
love
Bond.
him and hold
Adam
him
Bond,
dear.
was it 316 or some shit like that?
Yeah, something like that. And he was the 6th and final king that we have so far. We met those guys, I want to say, right out of COVID. It was 2020 for sure.
It was in the middle of COVID.
Or 2021.
It was
one
pretty
of the
much
two.
in the middle
but
of COVID.
It's been a couple of years knowing those two. And I mean, they came on, and obviously initially it wasn't all sweet and everything, but I mean, I couldn't go a day without having all of these guys in my life.
Yeah,
I genuinely enjoy all of them.
So obviously, like we said, we all met through Siege, and eventually, you know, we kind of branched into our games. Like Seth and Austin were playing like a ton of like COD Zombies, and I kind of got tired of it. Also, my PC like ran it like shit, so I ended up getting tilted and not playing it as much, and we were kind of all doing our own things. But I came back into Siege with Seth with God, what was it? The Undesired Prophecy was the team that you were playing for, and I was I'm gonna be honest, I sucked ass at Siege. I was terrible. I'm a 0.7 KD historically. Support main.
The same.
Yeah. Seth was good. Austin was good. Jeremy was really good. Even he'll tell you he's not good, but he was always really good at the game also. But I understood the game. I watched a lot of Pro League stuff. I consumed as much Pro League content as I could. I used to watch Reaper. I don't even know if he's making content anymore, but Reaper was an analyst for... Was he G2's analyst, if I remember right?
That or SSG's.
Yeah.
Was SSG? Oh,
was
something like that. Anyway,
it's not important. Reaper was an analyst for really good teams. And I used to watch a lot of his content. I consumed a ton of his content. And I started understanding the game. Mechanically, I was terrible, but I started understanding the game's level. And I think, you know, Seth, like, just kind of randomly one day was like, hey, we need an analyst. Do you want to come help do analyst work? And they had a coach at the time, and which he's actually still kind of a friend. We haven't heard from too much, but he doesn't play games very much anymore. And I ended up kind of taking over the coaching role. And it's funny because I love Jason. Jason was elite, but he has a very interesting personality where he would after scrims we would play games together. And that was the thing that you know we kind of stressed in the team, is that we were friends within the Siege team. We didn't want to be like we carry our friends around and stuff like that. But you know, we wanted to have some kind of team atmosphere outside of like we're scrimming and then we don't talk to each other after scrims, you know, because there are a lot of teams that do operate like that. In my opinion, I don't think teams should be operating like that. I think you need to have some kind of relationship. But Jason would come while we were playing games, because me and Seth would play League. We would play League after scrims. We were sieged out. We didn't want to play Siege. You know, we talked about Siege all day. Went through scrims, you know, did all these strats and all stuff. We didn't want anything to do with Siege. Like, we were done. You know, we always did our hour debrief after scrims, and Jason would come in after scrims, and he would only want to talk about scrims. And it's just kind of one of those funny things. Like we always joke that he forced himself into the group. Obviously, that's not the case. That's not actually the case. We all actually really enjoyed having Jason around. And through Jason was best friends with Adam, who's become one of our best friends throughout the time. So
which, mind you spell Adam ADAM like a normal person, not Adam like the actual Adam, or ATOM. So for some reason Jason thought you spelled Atom like that, and he called him that because Adam and Jason know each other for many years, and the entire time,
well over a decade,
Jason thought Adam was spelled the other way around. So
but and those guys will, you know, they might be on the podcast, they might not, you know, they have the open invite. You know, Jason's busy with life. there's so much stuff going on. Adam's in the middle of a move and a whole bunch of stuff's going on. And, so you probably hear from them at some point. We're pretty, Seth and I are pretty good at getting in their ears and making them at least want to show up at some point. But, and we the rest is kind of history with Hyrule, which is that, we created this great community. I'm not going to act like we're huge community or anything like that and lie to you guys, but, we've got a good group of people here, going on here. And, it's a very fitting relationship, in my opinion, between Vincere and Hyrulers. It's very similar, kind of mindsets with things. We weren't super strict with when we were doing content and stuff like that. We weren't putting the, fist down, this is, we need 6 videos out by Sunday. We weren't doing stuff like that. It was just, we're gonna play some games, record it,
to make content. It was fleshed out. It was normal.
Yeah, and it was COVID, so there wasn't anything to
demanded again.
Yeah,
because we were all really good friends. I felt like truly made funny content, or could have made funny content. It's just a matter of getting the oomph for it.
Yeah,
which goes back to again as well all games that we like to play. Me personally, though, I like playing. I'd say relatively anything. I'll play single player games. I can play. Before I liked MOBAs, but I don't know what it was about League. But it was the first MOBA I played, which then Jay and I eventually, a year later, so went to Smite. We played that for a couple of months, but then obviously still went back to League.
Smite's the more
MOBAs
casual
overall. Yeah, I think MOBAs though are definitely was something I didn't play. Jay also wasn't in MMOs, but Jeremy or Bloodrose got me into MMOs as well. And we played Final Fantasy 14 for a bit, and that was also another COVID game that we played. And I much loved that game because that was a lot of fun. So me personally, though, I like playing a wide variety of games. I'm generally not as picky as some others are, I would say, for sure. Because I really do and just want to play whatever I think is fun or anything. Yeah, I play really anything.
It is kind of funny in the evolution of the group. We all met through Siege. In one way or another, we all met through Siege. Siege is ultimately the
that brought us all together.
And we barely even touch first-person shooters even anymore. It's pretty much just, well, I do, but that's a different story. I'm talking about Tarkov, which is the worst fucking game ever made. I hate that game.
You don't want to play the cycle, so it's not my fault.
Hey, I downloaded the cycle. I'm gonna give it a try with you. I did the tutorial. It was a little bit boring to me when I did the tutorial, but you know what? I want to play Tarkov, but for whatever reason, your PC hates Tarkov. I don't really understand why.
I don't either. Another game that I think is Overwatch 2 right now. Actually, is a lot of fun.
We've been grinding a bunch of.
I've been having a lot of fun with that, and that's been the game that's taken me from wanting to play so much League. Even though again, League is still the consistent game that I want to play.
League's I don't know the best way. Actually, I think I do know the best way to describe League. It's the most fun game. I hate to call it fun, but the payment for playing and enjoying League is a little bit of your sanity.
It's that, but it's also there was a hole left from Siege, and League kind of assumed that spot for Siege. Your Siege was the way that League is for us, where we grinded Siege, day in, day out, and we're constantly playing casual or unranked or ranked, and or doing customs stupid games, like fucking Bloody Mary, Michael Myers and things like that, or hide and go seek. We had fun nights like that, but we didn't really have that after Siege died. But now that we have League, so that everyone wants to play the game, I think I still enjoy it as much as I did Siege for sure, and I definitely want to grind it and be as good as I was on Siege in League. While it's a lot harder, but I think for me especially, it's just there's a hole left, for a game that I wanted to play, and that's kind of what League assumed for me.
Yeah, League is definitely
Overwatch. I want that to fit that spot. But Overwatch is a lot of more commitment, I would say. But I do enjoy the 5v5 because it's much similar to what I'm used to in Siege. But it's a lot of more grinding and more learning, which I love grinding and learning things. So I'm a huge Destiny fan as well. So I definitely am not scared of grinding.
I always forget that you have a background in Destiny, that you played a lot of Destiny.
Yeah, it's just a huge commitment. In that regard, I would say.
We're gonna flip over actually what we were gonna talk about a little bit, because we are talking about Overwatch. How are you feeling about the launch? You played it earlier than me, actually.
Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch 2.
I think it's a great game. I really do enjoy it. I think there's a lot to be had with it. I mean, we already played custom games. We literally sat there and played like an hour and a half alone of the
12
Ilios
hogs.
well, where we 12 hogs around the well, and that itself was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's what Overwatch 1 did really well in towards the back end of its life cycle was its custom games, and same thing with Overwatch 2.
Yeah, Overwatch 1
because you don't even need to have like play norms, because norms can be tilting as is, but like just playing customs with your friends is a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's always...
and I think that's like the best thing is just playing customs and not really giving it a care, and just having a genuinely good time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Overwatch for, basically since launch. 2016 is when it came out. I played it. I got it Christmas of 2016. And so obviously I have a little bit more probably hot takes on it. But yeah, it's overall a pretty good game. I'm really digging it. I've had a lot of fun with the release. There needs to be something worked out for the comp system. I don't like the way comp works right now, in my opinion.
It's just weird how they have it. You have to win the seven but also
7
with
wins
rankings
or 20 losses.
Is dumb. How they rank and how they pair you with certain players is really bad.
Like
it's crazy that we can have some people do a lot of damage or do insanely well, but then it's like that's also the downfall to, I guess, 5v5 is that one player, when you have them not performing, you really feel that
it falls
more than you would in 6v6. But 5v5 overall, though, I feel like I would have to say does feel better.
It's a lot more chaotic. It feels more like Overwatch 1. The problem with Overwatch 1, it was just kind of like a like you farmed your ult for 2.5 minutes and then everyone pressed their Q button at the same time, and basically whoever pressed their Q button faster is who won, is almost the way it felt.
Well, but it's also too some ults you have to like think about. Well, I mean, and same thing with 2. But in 1 you could get away with doing a lot more dumb stuff again because you had 2 tanks, and one tank could literally go and flank and fuck off practically, while there was a Reinhardt who was literally 1v9ing as long as you had a healer with him. I mean, same thing with Overwatch 2, but it's just like if your tank's bad, you're not going to be able to do much because it's so hard.
It feels more like a bloodbath than anything, because like in Overwatch 1, the meta was like Sig, Ryan, Orisa, Sig, double shield. So you were just sitting there.
I was a huge Sig.
You're just sitting there shooting at a shield for 2.5 minutes, farming your ult, and then pressing Q. And now it feels a lot more like you're actually like able to get in and like actually fight, and you're not like trying to like just you're not taking 10 minutes to just cut through all this utility so you can maybe try and win a fight. I don't really like the shift that it's taken. I just don't. My biggest complaint is the competitive system. Like we played, what was it, Thursday or Friday, whenever we were playing comp. And I mean, we had 2 games in a row where it was like, we're stomping, we had really good teammates, and then the next game we get like a level 14 on our team.
Yeah, we just had newbies,
and like we were getting like these players. Like I don't understand. That's the part of the competitive system that makes no sense to me. It's like, I don't really get why you would change the, you play 10 games. After 10 games, you're placed. You can go 5-5. You can go 9-1. Whatever. All these ways you get placed. And now it's like these first to 7 wins, and that gets really frustrating. The first to 7 wins thing. I'm not saying like winning's hard in Overwatch, but it
by no means. Like we snowball. Like the games that where you're tanking them on DPS, and we have a DPS that somewhat does a little bit of extra damage, we win.
Yeah,
because you and I will definitely put up high enough numbers. I mean, I even played with one of my coworkers, and I was practically 1v9, but he's being pocketed by a Mercy as Zarya. But it wasn't. I mean, we still had help by any means. But just a lot of people right now don't, since it's a new game, aren't, I guess, as keen to adapting to a lot of things or understand how to adapt. I mean, they're level 14s. I don't expect that out of them. But why are they? Why am I like a level 100 something and I'm being placed and queuing with them? Like that's not balanced nor fair. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know there is a base amount of games you have to play before you do comp, but I just don't think that's enough. I feel like you also should put a level cap on that as well, like Siege did. Like it should be level 50. As one that stops smurfing on top of you also have to play the game consistently to be able to hit that level. And I think that's what was good about Siege is they did that right, but Siege also went down the hill same way.
I mean, Siege took
something entirely.
Siege. I mean, this has been rehashed over about 1 million times on Twitter and YouTube and every other platform, so we don't have to get into it. But I mean, Siege just it stopped becoming a first-person shooter and just became like a utility dump. Like
it's utility, but it's also at the same time they didn't balance. They didn't know what to choose. They didn't
Balancing was
decide to balance
really
the game around either the pro scene, the casual scene, rank scene. They never decided what they wanted to do.
yeah. They tried
And
to
then
have
they
their cake and
thought
eat it too.
they
Basically,
were
like
big brain mamma jammas, and that they can just make everything go away by making a zombies game mode. And they invested like half the developers that were developing the main game into that, and
yeah, for it to have
well,
like
even
10
that
viewers,
flopped.
10 viewers on
And
Twitch right now or
so
something like
like it
that.
was popular for like the first week, if that's, and then no one in their like right mind played it.
Yeah, it was.
And so it's crazy that you pull that many developers as a big head in the gaming scene, and you kind of throw away your main staple. Because Siege at the time was like, I won't say revolutionary, but like it was very, very
it was
unique.
definitely a
You
revolution.
know, like it was run and gun, but not really. But like it was, I don't know how to explain it. It was its own thing. You know, like it had a lot of skill expression. You had to have map knowledge. You had no call outs, especially in higher elo. You had to have good gun skill to know how to do recoil. You know, and like especially back in the day, verticality was a huge thing. And you could easily tell like what players knew how good they were by how what like a soft support or a soft breach, like a buck or a sledge, like were they sledging the right spots? Were they even going above sight and sledging in the first place, or were they being a bot and just pushing sight straight up? You know.
Yep.
And things like that. Like there's a lot of skill expression to that game, but they took away that skill expression by putting a lot of utility and BS into it.
Yep.
And it's just it wasn't fun because you couldn't really. I mean, how am I going to sit there and dodge 5 flashes, but then the 6th one hits me and I die?
Yep.
You know, and I don't have enough utility to defend myself to eat 6 flashes per se. Yep. And so that's where the game went wrong. Is like I don't complain about utility much because there's games like fucking Valorant, which again is incredible how much utility is in that game. But Valorant also stands. There's a lot of other ways that you can kind of circumvent or help yourself get out. Siege, you didn't really have that as Siege, much, I would say.
Yeah, and the way they balance the game, and that's something that a lot of developers just they have a really hard time with, is that you can't try to make the casual community happy without pissing off the competitive community, or make the competitive happy without pissing off the casual community. And Siege, tried to appease both sides, but it ended up just pissing off both sides. They would try to make nerfs and buffs to help the casual community while also making nerfs and buffs to help the competitive community, which just made absolutely no sense. Where, you have, I mean, I hate to admit Riot. I don't want to call Riot a good developer, but they are a pretty damn good developer when it comes to their game. Their esports a different story, but when it comes to the game, in general, Riot picked how they're going to balance their game, and they stay pretty steadfast on that, and their game is going to be balanced around competitive, because the way they look at the way it happens, and that is actually, if you pay attention to Twitter trends, and if you pay attention to the way people talk about the game, if you balance around the competitive community, the challenger players, and then also the LCSs and the LECs of the world, the professional players in general, the casual players will just forget in a week. Even though, like, let's say Bronze Timmy, is upset because they nerfed his Tryndamere or something like that, because Tryndamere was, absolutely piss broken in challenger and professional play, which actually did happen earlier this year. He'll forget about it in like a week, because you can still play that champion against the people of the lower skill levels. It's just when a champ like that, champs are
there's like a lot of balancing that you can do. Yeah, but there's a lot of balancing they do, right? But they patch fast enough to where something's broken, you have to wait maybe not even a week or two.
Yeah, it's every
for that
2
to
weeks
get potentially fixed. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that go unfixed, but they're minor things, mind you. Yeah, Siege, where you can go practically almost a month without having a patch, and then upon getting that patch, the game breaks again. Yeah, and that was a nasty cycle with Siege. Is constantly things. It's like, okay, this is being fixed, but now why is my disk's not working? Why are Jaeger devices not functioning the way they should be? Why are Habana pellets bugging out? Like I can't tell you how many times being a Habana enjoyer, where I forgot what patch it was about a year ago, where I would literally have pellets not work. Yep. And I couldn't get hatches open that were crucial because my pellets wouldn't work. Because they wanted to fix one thing, but they broke another. And that was the biggest issue with Siege, was they were constantly fixing one thing but breaking something else. Which is why they tried to come up with a a test environment, but even still, they couldn't get it right. Like right now, there is a Yana bug that I've been seeing going around Twitter, which I think they hot fixed finally, but took them about a week and a half to fix that. Which if it was something like League or Overwatch, which again I don't support Blizzard for anything that they've done in the past. I just like the game. They're relatively good about making sure they pull out whatever's broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
and that's what Blizzard did about Bastion. Bastion was incredibly broken. They took him out. Torb has a bug where he can drop your FPS. They make sure he's not in comp. He's still be able to be enjoyed in casual play, but they make sure to disable him.
Yeah,
but Siege doesn't do that.
Coming back, by the way, I'm pretty sure. I think so as well. Reading that right.
But Siege doesn't do that, and that was my biggest issue with it. You know, again, I love the game, so I looked over that. But there's even in pro play aspects where there is issues such as that, where you have to be like, just look at the pellets, just cry inside, and move on with your life. Like you cry a little bit on the inside, or there's a lot of other bugs we can go in detail about. But it's just how quickly can they fix game breaking bugs, and I think that shows you how good of a developer is with how quickly you can fix that. League is, again, they do the same thing Blizzard does. They pull the champion that's broken or whatever's broken, they pull it out, or they fix it within a day or two. Blizzard same way. But
and I'm not,
Ubisoft doesn't do that, and that's depressing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, remember 3 years ago, I think, when IQ had that bug where she could go invisible.
Yeah,
remember that? And they took them a month to disable.
Well, there's a ton of invisible bugs, so you can have invisible cab. You have a bunch of invisible champions, and there was even iteration of that bug like a year ago as well, coming back around. And again, that's just where I had enough of the game. It's like I loved it for so long, but we had to put the puppy down. Yeah, sadly, and so that's why we started playing League a lot more and Overwatch and other things, and they've been enjoyable. But obviously they're very tilted. Yeah. League does take a bit of your mental toll.
Extremely,
for sure.
It's one of those things. Whenever we meet someone new, or if there's one of our friends that doesn't play League, because we have a good share of friends that don't even touch League. The joke is like, if we ever try to convince them, and it's like, wait, we actually hate them if we try to get them in a League. Like, that's kind of become the joke. Because League
it just sucks you in, you know. I mean, in my opinion, that's what happened to me. Happened to Jay. I feel it just kind of sucks you in. That's what happens.
It's like heroin. Like, I hate to make the comparison, but I mean, it's almost like heroin. It's like how many times have we uninstalled League and said we're never touching that game again just to start playing it all? I mean,
we've had like 2-3 month periods where we didn't play it, but there's just something that gets us to go back to it. It's just sitting there like, damn, that sounds good to play a League game. And it's just been that way. Also, I'm really committed in terms of money because I've spent not talking about the amount of money I spent on the game. So I'm kind of tied to it in that regard. Same way I'm tied to Valorant. I've spent probably almost like 150, which is not bad, I would say. But
it's not as bad as the money you spent on League, that's for sure.
Yes, for sure.
We don't have to talk about the numbers you spent on League.
But I mean, it's just also that and the pro player aspect of it. Like, it's very enjoyable to watch. I mean, Siege had good esports.
Siege had amazing esports.
But they kind of changed that as well. But they had really fun shit talking. You know, they had a lot of aspects that we enjoyed in FPS, but there was just a lot. And then they had decent grassroots. I would say it was relatively streamlined.
I think Siege had Siege in terms of like, if you are someone like us that was trying to break into the scene, probably had I don't want to say the easiest route, but it was a pretty clear cut way to get into the top.
Yeah,
whereas
there's an easy way to go about it. Whereas the League has a good way. It's just you have to be challenger and you have to do certain things to get noticed.
If you're good at League, the opportunities are going to come to you.
Well, no, but League, it's like football, in college ball. Like, you have to get scouted. Versus Siege, you get scouted, sure, but it's also performance based. Which I'm not saying League isn't performance based. It obviously clearly is, but you just have to be so good to get scouted by a team. You can't be like a one trick, like what's it called? Last year picked up the Kindred one trick jungler. When they're going to try to change them to be a good jungler, where it's like they're a Kindred OTP.
Are you talking about Shine?
Yeah, but Kindred isn't like a champion that's pro play. She can be seen in 1 or 2 games. She's a pocket pick, but you have to change that player to be not a Kindred OTP. Which by any means, they could very well be an amazing player. I'm just saying, like, they got noticed for their Kindred jungling and how they did, and they got picked up due to that.
Yeah.
And so that's how it works out. Overwatch has, I wouldn't even know too much about it. It seems more complicated generally, but it seems similar-ish in the aspect that Siege has it, but just more ways to miss out on opportunity.
Yeah. But yeah, League overall is just
League is like Overwatch, so it's 5v5. But like, I had a game earlier today where, like, if you're ADC and your support wants to do fuck all, it's hard for you to play the game.
Yeah,
it's really hard for you to do anything.
It's a team-based game, and it's like there's no comms. I mean, okay, they have the ping system, so in quotations, you have comms. They're so scared of adding communication into the game, like voice comms.
Well, it's because, I mean, the game is toxic. We know that.
Because the game has harbored a very toxic environment for so long. I mean,
which they're working on actually fixing that,
yeah,
but they're very slow to the take.
There's a lot of times that I feel like they don't take it seriously. Like the best example I have of them not taking it seriously, and it's something that happened to me. I mean, there's tons of other examples of them not taking toxicity seriously. Like, I played an ARAM, which, if you don't play League, think of ARAMs as like, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. Like, if you're a Call of Duty player, ARAM is like playing hardcore free for all. Something like that. It's something you just screw around on to have fun. You know, it's like when you play. It's like playing a mini game with your friends.
Well, like, ARAM's like a deathmatch stuff, yeah. Like Siege. Like, you literally don't do anything. You just run around. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And I, for whatever reason, wasn't playing up to a duo queue, 2 duo queue players that were queued together. For whatever reason, they weren't happy with the way I was playing, even though I was actually, by my standards, I thought I was doing pretty damn good given, you know, what it is. And it's ARAM, you know, I'm there, I'm just have fun, I'm killing some time. You know, I normally play ARAMs. I don't play them as much as I used to, but, you know, I play them, you know, like if everyone's in bed and I'm still up or something like that. You know, it's just something I just, you know, get on to kill some time. And I mean, they both were sitting there legitimately making serious threats against my life, and like, you know, like saying they're going to find my location in real life, and, you know, saying they're going to do all these awful things to me. And I reported them, and they got banned. They got banned for 2 weeks. And they're
that's the thing too. Like, people can drop like hard R's and they don't get banned, but like, I'm out myself. I just am very passionate about the game. That's a good way to put that. Not really toxic, I would say, actually, in that regard. But it's quantity over quality in how they ban people, and it's incredible because I generally won't say anything offensive, just genuinely telling people what they could do and how bad they are. Which, I mean, that's toxic in its own sense. But I've had people call me monkey or hard R, which, mind you, I am a light skin, I'm of white and black descent, and they don't get banned for stuff like that. And that's just incredible to me that, you know, they can say offensive terminology, but they get a slap on the wrist when I haven't said a single thing like that in my entire League career or gaming career to anyone. And I've gotten 2 accounts banned in that sense, and that's just incredible to me because all I do is just, I mean, it's a stupid way to do it. And I picked up on it, which is why I haven't gotten this account banned or anything. I mean, I'm quote unquote reformed. I don't type or do anything as much or anything. I definitely hold myself back because I'm trying to improve my mental, because the game, again, is very mentally taxing. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible that people can sit there and tell you they'll want to kill you or find you or all these other things, but they say it once and that's it. And if they're not quote unquote like times 9, and even if they are, they'd get like a slap on their wrist. And that's just incredible to me. That's like the dark side of League. But besides that, I mean, it's a really fun game, but it's just really hard to get behind a community like that, which again, why, you know, voice chat isn't the thing, is because people are genuinely just toxic. And I mean, NA is toxic, EU is toxic, but the most toxic region, it has to be between NA or like Koreans, because Koreans are toxic little shits, honestly. Sometimes it seems
really awful things. Like we watch LS, who is probably one of the more controversial figures, at least in the competitive scene of Overwatch League. He's got some hot takes that a lot of people don't really care for. But there's a lot of times he lives in Korea. And there's a lot of times the Koreans will say stuff that he doesn't even feel comfortable translating because it's so bad.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's incredible though.
But we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent there talking about toxicity in 7 League, but it is a conversation.
I mean, it's a huge thing about League. Like that's like the bad side of it. People are like, I had people talking about it like at work even. Like, they would want to play the game, but it's just they've heard about the toxicity and they'd rather not get wrapped up in that. And that's sad.
Players away.
It's like that, you know. But I think the esports wise, especially with Worlds being an event going on right now, I think that's really engaging. Now the formatting isn't as good. I don't agree that like a team in LEC didn't win a single BO5. We got qualified for Worlds, but yet a team, I forgot what team it was in LCK. Or was it LPL? They won 6
LPL.
BO5s.
That was
6 BO5s
FPX,
out of
wasn't
7.
it? Not FPX.
I think so, something like that.
It was doing BC.
Anyway, it was a team.
LNG,
they won 6
LNG.
BO5s, but they didn't win the 7th BO5, and they didn't go to Worlds. But yet Mad Lions didn't win a single BO5, just won BO1s. And one BO1s, and they went to Worlds, and they had not a good performance really. That was for their own sakes and everything. Yeah, like they didn't even technically make it to the real stage.
They got 3-0'd by Evil Geniuses, who was supposed to be the weakest North American team at the tournament,
at least. Yeah, and it's just incredible that formatting is the way that it is. Each region will have different formatting. I'm on the term that I think everyone should be formatted like LPL LCK, where they should have BO3s or BO5s.
No, it's BO3s.
It's BO3s. Yeah, we're at BO3s. I think that raises the competition level of the region. But again, I also do see the other side of that, where viewership. Like a lot of people don't want to watch Misfits, not Misfits anymore, but like I don't know, an LEC or like. No, NA, like Golden Guardians versus
Immortals.
CLG.
Yeah.
No, or like that. Teams that are lower end that no one really wants to watch as much.
Yeah, that's
and I see that with the issue. I mean, LCK has the same thing, but I mean, I think that's also on the players' fault. Koreans do, and they foster a better mentality. Yeah, they have a better form of that. They actually enjoy the game and want to watch it more.
In Europe, in America, China and Korea, like esports is a part of their culture. Like it's not taboo in those regions to like play, esports and be really involved in games. In the US and the UK, European states. Oh my god, dude, I sound like an American now. In the European countries, it's I don't want to say it's taboo, but it's definitely not a mainstream thing.
Well, Europe is definitely getting better. I will genuinely say
Europe
that.
Europe is faster to come around to esports, but still as a whole, basically the West is we call it the East and the West.
They just don't foster the same
the
kind
West
of like,
is,
culture.
It's esports is definitely not something that people are used to still.
It's not a main staple. It's not a quote unquote job. Like it is truly like a life thing that you commit to. It's truly like a career path. Yeah. Like again, as cringe as that sounds, I mean, in this day and age, you can make a full life career out of playing games. Either streaming or being in esports. Like it's something that you can do. Now, mind you, there are people that don't keep care of their health, which is why a lot of pro teams now have to have a nutritionist and like a coach and everything to make sure that they're maintaining their health. But like LCK and LPL players are so dedicated to the game and improving their craft, which that's what a lot of people want to do in their life. Like I myself, I want to improve. Like I want to be the best at my job. I want to be best at whatever I play in terms of game and everything. Yeah. But a lot of people don't foster that. They become complacent and they get lazy, or it's just that the culture isn't fostered the way that it is in those regions. And that's something that I want to get better and improve on. I think, and it's going to take time because everyone in the U.S. are back from like the olden days where it's like, games aren't a real life thing and anything like that, which it is, but it's just those few that ruin it for the greater better of the others, that actually it is a genuine thing.
And a lot of people don't like the kind of the mindset that I think is kind of the big problem is that it's like that it still gets fostered even our own generation, and it's probably just has to do with like their parents rubbing off on them. If you're not doing manual labor, if you're not going out, waking up at 5 a.m, going busting your ass for, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, then you're not actually working. That's kind of
I mean, it's the old like way of like thought of life and thinking about it. It's like when you're 18 years old, you move out, you get a house, you get a girlfriend. At 21 years old, you should have a wife, a kid. A house. And be if you're not going to college, be a blue-collar worker. And I myself even told my parents, because my dad's a blue collar, my mom was a blue collar. Again, nothing, offensive to blue collars. Like that's a lot.
No,
it's a lifestyle in itself, and that's very like I hats off to you, kudos and everything. But that's just not for me. Like my job that I work in everything, it's not really a blue collar work, but like I work around technology still, and I enjoy it actually. Versus having to go work at like Amazon or like a factory or something, that's not enjoyable.
Going digging ditches and
it's mindless work. I'd rather make myself challenge myself a little bit and better myself. And again, that's where but then again, there's the people the nobodies that want to stay at home, stay in their parents' basements, and not do anything for themselves. That's where the people draw the issue, and that's where the people need to draw the line. Is like you genuinely need to do something with your life. But like me, I have in this recent year, everything finally moved out of my parents' house, got my own apartment, and I'm actually genuinely thriving with my job because I do enjoy it so much. And I still am gaming hours on end while still having a good life, having a good lifestyle. I would say can improve, sure. But I genuinely do enjoy.
In the last that I get to have. In the last year and a half, there's stereotypes about gamers and stuff like that. In the last year and a half, we've all gotten together. You missed one.
Yeah, but we not even a month ago. We've met up as a friend group, and that's a good thing. The fact that we can all meet up. Saturday was in the dead state of Ohio, mind you. It was a lot of fun being able to see everyone and put a voice to a face finally and everything. Well, I personally haven't seen Adam yet, and I will definitely make an attempt to do that within the year.
That's something that'll change within a year.
But I think that's also shows genuinely as well that all of us have a really good lifestyle, but we also all help each other make sure that we're not just like no lifing games and not actually being productive. And I think that's what people need to do better with their friend groups. Because genuinely, I do believe in the fact that your friend group is what makes you as a person. Like if your friends are a bunch of losers, you're going to be a loser. If your friends are all successful, then you're going to be successful. So be that friend in your friend group that's constantly trying to help your other friends, be successful and be better in life. Because there's no better feeling than seeing you and your friends succeeding, not just you succeeding. Because that's just like you're going to be alone at that point. So it's help your friends make sure everybody around you is thriving. And that's a huge thing as well.
It's king shit.
It's king shit. Don't be selfish. A lot of people are selfish, sadly, but just generally be a good person if you can in that regard. But don't be a loser in the gaming sense as well.
Yeah.
Don't be a stereotype gamer in the basement. So that's what's wrong with esports, I would say. So that's what's wrong with, I would say, NA. The majority of NA, EU's kind of catching up to where Korea and China are at. But
maybe.
In terms of esport, but overall competitiveness, I would say no. We're not really close to that. In terms of culture and everything, everyone is suddenly trying to understand the gaming lifestyle more. I think that's a good thing, and I think like when it's like actually offered in like schools and stuff like that, and people are actually more on board with it, it'll be much better. Because like last year in Worlds, EG won Worlds, they. Like everyone in the streets, like you heard it. Like I don't know, if anyone even knows what esports. When you hear that kind of thing, like roaring, like I got chills, and I'm not even like a genuine EDG, but like I got chills watching those Twitter clips because everyone was behind them. Everyone was grateful they won, but per se, in some stretch of imagination, if EG won, and EG is the third seed NA right now in Worlds, if they were to somehow win Worlds, which that would take all sorts of praising and hopium and copium, mind you.
Let's just go.
Yes, in theory, if they won, it wouldn't be the same aspect. Versus like Super Bowl. Like if the Super Bowl, like last year, it was a huge thing, for a team. That's a huge thing that we fostered. And I think once our normal sports catch up to where our esports catch up to our normal sports, like where everybody, like you've seen the world's everywhere. It's being produced, but like it's on actual like channels, like people can go and watch versus having to go to Twitch and things like that. That's when I think it's going to be much better. And so like you're not going to hear anybody like scream and shout and let it all out. When we have our winner, mind you, it's not going to be an NA representative, but like besides the people in the crowd and like a handful of people across the country, it's not going to be a resounding everyone behind NA for their win. It's going to be like the best
example I can give, like literally right now in this point in time as we're talking, is Rogue just went to the playoffs for Worlds. They ended up losing, but they just qualified for playoffs. And there was, that's generally in real sports, that's a big reason to celebrate. Real sports. I'm actually using bad terminology now too. In baseball and stuff like that. So like this weekend, the Phillies are up 4-0 on the Padres right now. And They're at 4 on the Padres in a best of 7 series. And the game is being played in Philly tonight, and they were greasing the poles in Philadelphia so people can't rip the poles out of the ground when they clinch the World Series berth. And until we get esports fandom that normalized where they're going, let's say, EG is a Seattle organization, okay, for example. So that's like Seattle would be where, in theory, where a lot of the EG fans were. Let's just say this, that's not the actual case, but like, let's say it for the analogy, let's just say a lot of the EG fans are in Seattle, right? Until we get esports to the thing where, a team like EG or like Rogue is a German org, for the, where they're greasing poles so they can't get ripped up out of the ground because of the berth. Not even
but it was
Series, because of the berth, just a chance to play for a title.
Well, it's like also like what was it that it was Tennessee versus Alabama.
Yeah,
when fucking Tennessee won, they fucking took the field goal like that. Like I don't know if like yes, like if I'm a player and I see that, like front, I'm like face palming, like come on guys, but that's a good feeling,
Yeah,
because your fans are that crazy, quote unquote, because they're like, stoked about a win, like they have that much pride for you, and you do have that backing. That's a good feeling, I would say, generally. Player, because your fans are quote unquote crazy or cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and that's really good feeling. And I think that's what we need to foster more so with esports is like, I think that could fix some of the issues that we have with our culture again, because again, our competition level in League is very lackluster, I would say.
It's not very good.
We have a lot of issues, but overall, because it's not due to lack of players, mind you. We have a very close player base. We should have a closer player base, and we have obviously the people in the country to play. It's just, again, people get very complacent, I would say. I mean, people play more so for an easy contract, for an easy paycheck, versus, hey, I want to go to Worlds. I want to prove I'm the fucking best, biggest, baddest motherfucker around. Like that guy Faker, nah, it's Faker Dog A kind of thing,
Yeah.
And I think, oh my god, that scoop. Sorry, I'm watching the game, but I think when that starts becoming a thing, true, like that's why I like Siege, because there was genuinely players like Canadian who wanted to be the motherfucking best, and he proved himself to be the motherfucking best time and time again, and that's why it was so fun to watch him, because NA was actually fucking good. Like we had people like fucking Canadian who was an IGL but also could put his fucking nuts in your face, and what the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Not to
mind you, that's Siege, different game, but still, like we have it in us to be good. It's just the League community for some reason isn't doing that.
I don't want to get in like a whole like deep conversation about this right now, because I know we're getting ready to wrap the podcast, but I think what a lot of that boils down to, especially when you compare League and Siege, which obviously, like you just said, it's not a 1-to-1 comparison. It's a different game. It's a different ecosystem. Everything, it's just totally different. But I think what a lot of it comes down to is contract size. When you look at the money that a lot of the players are being paid in North America, Europe's a little bit different. There's not actually a lot of money being thrown around in Europe outside of G2 and Fnatic. There's not a lot of money in Europe, but in North America,
well, it's like they make money though off their like they make money and they get a living, but it's not an incredible amount.
Crazy amounts of money, right? In North America, LCS, you see these guys with 7-figure contracts, and
they're bottom tier,
and they're losing to guys in Korea and China that are being paid $50,000 a year. In USD, obviously it's the exchange rate, but it would equal out to be about 50,000 a year. Guys like Faker are getting paid a lot of money and stuff like that, but
well, it's because they fostered their name for themselves. They deserve that paycheck, because they are the best of the best they've done, and they deserved it. Like Faker is potentially up for contention for a 4th world title in League, and there's not a single player that can even say they've had 2.
Yeah,
but
you got
like
guys
that's a huge thing.
Like Zeus, he's a rookie. This guy's being paid League minimum for LCK, which is about 55,000 USD a year. This guy,
mind you, it's a lot of money, but still, he's a good fucking
that's
player.
Nothing to scoff at. But this guy is one of the best in his role right now, outside of a couple of weird performances in the BO5.
He's like the Shy though. He's just a Giga Chad, and that's good. Like
he's legitimately one of the best in his role right now, and is being paid like not just a little bit. It's not like Zeus is being paid 1.1 million, and Impact is being paid 1.2 million. No, we're talking like literally this guy is making $1 million more and still losing to guys like that.
Which reminds you, Impact is a good player.
Yes,
though. Like I'll say that he's genuinely a good player. And an example, like there's teams in NA that genuinely don't do that well, but it's kind of the issue that Siege are having too. But like they don't do the same, but they expect the same payment or high paychecks, but yet they don't do anything to really earn that paycheck. And same thing with Siege, is like a bottom tier team wanting to get paid the same thing as EG or Canadian's team. When Canadian's team was world champions and TSM were world champions.
Like
they make names for themselves, like they make content and things like that, which is what you're supposed to do as a player and make yourself a brand essentially in that regard too. But it's just some people don't want to put that kind of what's it called? Fuck the Flash, by the way. I don't know if you're watching the game, but Barrel fuck the Flash. But there's just some things that they don't do. Like just little nitpicky stuff that we can get after. But it's just the amount of money that we're throwing at people, and that's what builds, and it's the complacency of it. Oh my god, he's ganking again.
There's a lot of things that there's a lot deeper issues in North America, and Europe does have issues too, but Europe doesn't have the contract issue. That's a whole other conversation what Europe's issue is. But in North America, at least, a big problem is, I feel like I sound like I'm being disrespectful, but I think that actually is the truth. Like, I think I'm just calling it the way it is. I think there are a lot of paycheck collectors in North America.
I think it's just like that. I think it's sadly how it is. And again, I'm not really like that. It seems I can't say it for sure, but it just seems like it's just the culture overall. Yeah. And it's like some people just genuinely, it's not like they don't want to be the best, but it's just like they don't put in as much work as per se people like DRX or even like Fred and Brielle, which are really good players and they put a lot of work in. And they all were pretty close. But one year they weren't that good, but they put in grind time and everything, and then they're almost up for going to Worlds, kind of deal. And so that's just kind of how it is. It's just again sadly the culture, but I hope again with the coming years and everything that gets fixed so that I want to have genuinely like national pride. Like obviously I live here and I want to have pride for my own country and everything, but it's just we aren't where we should be or need to be yet.
Like the best example of like how like me and Seth with Siege, we were diehard NA fans. Like I had a team that I really rooted for, but Seth was never like he just rooted for NA. And when it came down to it, I rooted for NA also. But when it comes to League, we actively root against North America because they are so bad. Like they are so bad that we we are.
It's just again because we just don't play anything.
Like we're G2 fans who are a European team and not just like something to scoff at. I mean, this year is a little bit disappointing. Last year's disappointing, but
they're not like a run-of-the-mill team by any means. They generally again started this year for G2. We come out, we have a little rough start, but we win swing split. We go to MSI, don't have the best performance. We get 3-0 by T1. We're done with MSI. But we still, mind you, and that kind of shows some issues with EU, but not really that many issues. But like G2 had some issues, but they were still performing insanely well. And they were still beating the likes of like EG pretty decisively, even though they had a lot of internal issues. But then we come back summer split, had some more issues, but we should have had a better chance at the summer title, but we still were second place. We were first place and second place. And then mind you, we had 3 new players on this roster, and then we go to Worlds and we don't have that much of a performance. Yeah, and then we go to Worlds and have the best performance, and then we're at where we're at now, where we're having to get a new jungler and new ADC.
Which to be fair, the AD carry hasn't been confirmed yet. As of now, the only thing official is Jankos.
Is Jankos, but mind you, though, I think overall, EU has, especially top end teams, it's pretty good competition.
I think,
I think sadly with G2, they're not going to have the same identity as they did this year, but they're going to still have for sure Caps, and I think Broken Blade get confirmed.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone else is staying outside of Caps or Jankos and Flacket.
Yeah, Flacket. But they're going to be a good team still because they have Caps, and Caps is like a legendary mid laner. Him and Humanoid are 2 really good mids. But I'm really excited to see where Jankos goes because that's kind of why I'm a jungle main. I watch a lot of Jankos, and I really do enjoy him. But a lot has happened to G2 this year. A lot of sad stuff, sadly. But I mean, it is what it is. It happens that in retrospect, G2 generally is still a good org, and they still do foster the same values that org and any person should value. Which again, sadly in this day and age, it's there's a lot of judgment and criticism that can be passed down for whatever reason, and G2 makes sure there isn't as harsh judgment or criticism. You know, it's and that's what, again, back to the beginning, like Vincere, like we're a safe place for a lot of people. You know, we're not going to judge you for, I don't know, anything that people typically judge you for being like trans or anything stupid like that. Like, you know, you're you, and we're just wanting to be around, you know, good people generally. And I think it's how G2 is. Like, they make funny content, and that's all they care about. So,
yeah. So with that, you know, we had a lot more we planned on talking about, but we got some technical issues going on. Spectrum Internet is not being too kind to me right now. So we're gonna actually wrap up the podcast here. So you have any final thoughts you want to add?
Hopefully NA will improve. But definitely stay tuned for episode 2, which I think we'll actually have a third guest on with us.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and actually outline the plans that we talked about for the next few episodes for our kind of final thoughts and closing out this podcast. So this is episode 1, which was actually supposed to be episode 3. There is going to be a 2 podcasts, or maybe it's going to be all into 1 podcast. It's just, it depends on how much content we get exactly out of everyone. But the plan is there's going to be, it might even be released as a special. So the way we're going to be releasing episodes is bi-weekly is kind of the plan right now. This podcast was actually going to be supposed to come out on Thursdays. It's being recorded on Sunday. We had some stuff come up, and that's fine. So, you know, we'll come up with probably a more concrete date, but Seth doesn't have like the same day off every week, so it's something that we're gonna have to work around with a little bit. So it might not be consistent, but we're going to be trying to get it every 2 weeks, basically. But the next episodes, we don't really know. We got to see how much content we get out of it, are going to actually be bringing in members from Vincere. It's going to start off with, well, Seth is already one of the owners, so he's already here. So, you know, fuck you, Seth, you don't get your own interview, kind of thing. But we're going to be bringing in Bear, and then we're going to try to bring in Esther and Grovey also to talk about kind of what they do within the org, kind of their vision and stuff like that. And then beyond that, it's going to be opened up to the content creators. And, you know, whatever content creators are interested in coming onto the podcast will come on. They can give we talk to them for a little bit, see how they, kind of talk about the content that they make, what kind of stuff, kind of things that make them tick, stuff like that. And then beyond that, outside of the episodes for that are planned, we are going to be opening up to more guests and stuff like that, reoccurring guests, possibly even, people that, some of the content creators, maybe they end up really like hopping on and really like talking with us and stuff like that. They can start becoming, they'll be a guest every once in a while and stuff like that. I think I covered everything. I don't think I really missed anything. Like I said, this episode was going to have a little bit more content to it, but like I said, we had some technical difficulties with my internet, whatever. Which, apologies for the random skip in time in the middle of the episode. That is going to be a little bit awkward. But hey, can't got to work with the internet that Spectrum provides us. So, but yeah, that was the first episode of the Vincere High Rulers podcast. We're going to have links below for Twitter's. Actually, let me rephrase that. Links will be below for the Discord, which in the Discord, if you join, there's a giveaway that is going on right now that I already mentioned at the beginning of the episode. Friday night game nights, which get voted on. There's conversations throughout the week and it gets voted on. And you can join for that. There will also be links to the Twitter, the YouTube, other content creators. Everything you need will be in the Discord. Other than that, thank you for watching. Well, listening/watching, whatever platforms you're listening on. I'm Jay. That's Seth.
Yeah, fuck off.
I'll catch y'all next time.